So thanks everyone for welcoming me here. It's my first time in Hong Kong and I'm having a fantastic time. I'm really looking forward to the carnival tonight and I hope to see many of you there. But I wanted to really just introduce myself to you, and I think it's really so important to get to know people wherever you go, and to make sure that you know, look at that, the question that we just heard in the introduction there, around what do we do? There's so many of us. How do we connect with each other? And I think that wherever you go, you ought to make sure that you introduce yourself to people. So nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I want to meet everyone. It's quite a lot of you, though. This could take maybe if you could pass these out to some other people and say hello to them from me. And I just think it's really important. That's the first thing I wanted to share with you, to make a personal connection with people wherever you go. It's so important. Nothing can, including new technology, nothing can replace the personal connection that you make with people. So thank you for welcoming me today. I wanted to really begin. Oh no. Technical blip. I wanted to begin with a slide change, but I think maybe it's not working. Is there another controller? This way? This way. Point it to the computer. See, new technology isn't everything, as I'm proving. This is me, Alice Casey. I've put my email address up here, so I'm inviting you to contact me. This is my offer to you. If you get in touch with me, I will write back to you. And I think that we need to offer to help each other, because the challenges that we face are huge, and the actions that we can take are all around us, but they seem very small. So unless everybody does take action, we're never going to meet and sort of get involved in addressing some of these really big challenges that we need to look at together. So I'm going to talk to you about 4 examples today to give you some ideas. 2 of them are through my work at NESTA, and 2 of them are volunteering examples. And I wanted to make this known to you because I think it's so important that maybe through your work you have an opportunity to help people and to make a difference, but maybe that's not so easy for you depending what you end up doing in your life. But everybody can volunteer. Everybody can make a difference through volunteering. So I think it's just very important to realize that even if your job doesn't let you do it, you have the option to make a difference in your own time and in your own way. But first, if I had a drum roll, I would make one now. I want to show you the world's most inspiring photo. Okay? Now, I wasn't sure if I should share this with you because it's very inspiring, and it might upset some of you because it's so inspiring. You might be moved. Is it something that you want to see? Do you think you are ready to see this? Are you sure? Are you really sure? Yes? Yes? Okay, well, hang on. Let's get ready. There it is. It's a little bit small. Maybe I'll give you a helping hand here. Can you see it now? Does anybody know what this is? Any guesses? Anybody? It's planet Earth. Wow, there we all are. Can you see yourself? Maybe you were there in 1996 when this photo was taken. This is planet Earth from 4 billion miles away. It's a long way, but that's it. I mean, that's everybody, everything in that photograph. I saw this and it absolutely blew my mind. I couldn't believe what this means. There we are, hanging alone in space, all 7 billion of us on one tiny pixel. That's quite amazing to think about. And this is very scary for some people, but for others it isn't so scary. But before I get on to this and come back to this photo, I just want to make a different point first. So there's a lot of problems in society today. Some of them are things we can do something about, like health, looking after ourselves, staying fit. Some of them are about taking care of older people in society and helping them to look after themselves. Some of them about the emissions that we're all creating through living better lives, through living longer lives. Through this progress, it makes its own kind of problems when we're all living here on planet Earth together. And often, one of the results of all of this progress is that people in big cities often feeling more alone and isolated from each other, even though we all live next to each other. And that strikes me even more in a big place like Hong Kong, so many people. How could you ever feel, that you could know everybody in your city? So it's a different context that we're operating in today on Earth. So when I saw this photograph, it was actually taken by, by a man called Carl Sagan, who you might have heard of. He's an astronomer. He's a popular astronomer. And he had a slightly different view of this picture of Earth that made it not so scary. And this is what I wanted to share with you because it was very inspiring for me. So he said, that's here. That's home. That's us. And on it, everyone that you love, everyone that you know, in fact, everyone that you ever heard of, every human being that ever was lived out their lives on that dot. And like it or not, for the moment, the Earth is where we make our last stand. And this is the bit that really resonated with me. He said, to me, it underscores our responsibility, that's our shared responsibility, to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and to cherish the pale blue dot, which is the only home we've ever known. I found this very motivating to think about imagining, you only have one life, we only have one planet, and we're all living together on it. It's our only home in the universe. And, you can't tackle all of the global issues on your own. You need to work together with people to make that change happen. And you need to share it. And I think that sharing things is more and more possible through using digital means to involve people, inspire them with your own examples of your work. And I wouldn't be here today unless digital media existed. You've never heard of me and my work. So it's an absolute essential that we connect with each other and share good works, and that at a very local level that we work collaboratively together, because it's our responsibility to do this and to make society better. So I'm going to talk about 4 examples that I mentioned. This is the first one. It's a NESTA project, and it's called the Big Green Challenge. And this was the first project I worked on when I joined NESTA, maybe 2.5, 3 years ago now. And this was, all the people you can see are people who entered a competition. And this competition had £1 million prize, okay? Now don't let that scare you too much, because you can have a prize of any amount. This was a national competition, it was a big competition. There was a big prize, and we said, communities can offer some solutions and ideas on reducing carbon emissions, solutions that government alone cannot come up with and they cannot action. So communities have a unique role in being part of the solution to climate change and to carbon emissions. So we challenged people to come forward. 600 organizations actually came forward to share their ideas. And from them, we worked with them all together to give them support, to develop their ideas further, to test them. And they came up with a whole manner of very exciting things. And they actually reduced carbon amongst the winning groups between 10 and 42% over the course of a year, which is a lot, because the government's targets for carbon reduction is only 30%. So these community groups were doing excellent work. And we found them through calling out to, in an open way, to all kinds of people to come and participate. And this is one of the groups that I want to share their story with you. So up in a very rural part of the UK, North Wales, the Brecon Beacons, there's lots of little streams that run down very high lands, like a mountainous land. And there are some guys who go to the pub locally. They go and have a drink together, and they're mates. And they saw these tiny streams, which their farming friends they see it maybe as a bit of almost a nuisance to have this stream coming down. You're trying to graze your animals on the land and use the grass to give the animals food, and you have these streams coming down. You can't really use them for anything. These guys who entered the competition, they said, well, hang on a minute, let's take a different point of view on this. Let's have a different perspective on what these streams can offer. And they, I think that's the first step. I think that's the first step when you're trying to think in this different way. You know, looking at the earth from a different point of view, looking at the natural resources around you with a different mindset. It's very important. So they said, hey, why don't we get together and learn how to build a little hydroelectric generator? And why don't we start putting these all around on these little mountain streams? And they did do that. And they released all of this potential within the stream that existed. You know, all along it was there. And it just took them to think differently about it, to unlock it. Okay? And what they did with these little streams, they start to generate maybe, you know, 15 to 20,000 pounds worth of income from energy generation. And they used the finance to put back into the community to create more streams and to create all kinds of other energy-saving or sustainable projects. So they did this through sort of like basically asking the local community to get involved and to set up their own creation of energy projects, whatever they might be, and then use the resources to plough it back into the community to create more, to create more. This is just thinking about how to create a positive relationship between the finance and the social outcomes. Okay, so I think that's a really great example. Second one is a project that I volunteer on. And this is my good friend Ivo. So I asked him, which picture do you want me to take to Hong Kong, show everybody? And this is the one that he selected. So there he is, you get an idea. He's quite a creative guy. And he thinks about things in different ways too. So he's made these observations, okay? There are many lonely, isolated people around, many people who find it hard to stay motivated, to get, you know, I don't know about you, but I joined a gym and I paid, I don't know, £150 and I went 4 times and I couldn't get out of my membership. My boyfriend has never let me forget this. So, you know, he saw there's a lot of people like that around. And also there's a lot of people in the gym sweating it out on the machines. They're exercising away. Maybe they might get health benefits, but, you know, it's a lot of energy going into this. And what other ways could we use this energy? So we went to a thing called Social Innovation Camp, which is worth looking at if you're interested in idea generation, particularly for new technologies. So it's a thing called Social Innovation Camp. And took this thought there. And what Ivo wanted to do was to connect people who are, in fact, I'll show you, people who run with people who maybe can't get out, maybe they're older people, but they find it difficult to get out and about, maybe they're a bit lonely, to bring those two issues together into a system that would mean you have people jogging and exercising, and they go and they have a relationship with an older person or someone who can't get out of the house much, who has something also to give back to them. So, you know, what happens is you get people that go off and they do their exercising and they might go up and go and visit somebody regularly and have a chat with them and learn some things from them. And, you know, it makes for a really great system. But they connect together through using an online system in the first instance. That's how the whole thing works. So I'm emphasizing the social side very much of all of the projects because I think it's so important to think about this. The groups, the runners, they go and they look online to find out more about what this good gym concept is. And then maybe health professionals or some of the older people's family themselves might look online and find out how they can get some support. We bring the two things together, and then two problems become, you know, like a completely different solution where everybody has something to give and everybody has something to get. I'll just briefly talk about Neighbourhood Challenge because I'm short on time. So this is a NESTA project as well. And the point that I wanted to make here is that what we're really doing with the Neighbourhood Challenge is getting 17 community organisations across the UK Again, we did an open call. We asked them to come forward with their ideas on what the issues were in their local area and how they might get new people involved in making a change. Now, what they ended up doing was very varied across all of the different groups. So the point being that NESTA was not going to dictate to them what the problem was in the area, and it wasn't going to dictate to them what the solution would be either. It just said, it put the call out there and it said, please come forward, we want to hear from you, because you are best placed to know and to understand what the issues are in your area. But what we did say to them was, there's one thing that we'd like you to really do here, and that is to mobilize new people, and also to make sure that the way you work is focused on the assets and the strengths within your community, not the problems. Now, I think this idea is a very powerful idea because, like with the two examples before, people look around them, and if you see only problems, it makes you feel quite powerless. But if you look around you and you start to count up all of the things you do have, the assets that you do have, your time, expertise, your friends and family, people you know, new technologies are an extremely important asset to put into any project because they catalyze all of the good works that are being done. You look around you and you start with the strengths, then that means you're starting from a position of power and empowerment. So it means that the work that is done begins from that position. Now, I won't go into any more detail now because we're running short on time, and we could pick this up in the discussion. The last project that I wanted to just briefly mention is one that I think is very important because it's led completely by young people, for young people. I am the old person on this project. I am the suit, the bureaucrat that comes in. And they are all very young and very intelligent and empowered young people. And they set up this organization called the Otesha Project. It started in Canada, and it's now moved to the UK. And this is Liz and the team. They work as a collective, so they are very flat in structure, and they're very collaborative, and they work as a network. And what happens is they take cycle tours out, all run by young people and volunteers. They take cycle tours out, and they go all around different parts of the UK. They go to schools, and they are very passionate about telling the young people in the schools about sustainability, and they do it through drama and interactive workshops, and they basically have really good results on these tours through changing people's minds about what can be done on sustainability. And I think it's so important to understand the power of networks and connecting people when it comes to changing people's minds and mindsets, because that's ultimately a lot of the most difficult work that needs to be done is around changing the mindsets. So if you can create projects which get people to work in groups and to influence each other, I think that is really a very powerful way to make a big difference. So I just wanted to quickly mention before we finish what social innovation is, because this is what NESTA talks about a lot. Now, we think that it's really these examples that I've given you are around new and different kinds of activities and services that at the same time as they are created, they also create power and capacity in the community to take action. So they create new relationships, new collaborations, and I think that using all of the new technologies that we have whilst creating real life connections is the most important thing to think about. They are innovations that really enhance the ability of the people who work together in groups to take action. And this is a very important concept because when we're thinking about 7 billion people living on one tiny dot, we need people to work together better and at bigger scale. So if I just leave you with this last thoughts, if you do anything after today, connect with people, think differently about old problems, actually do differently, which is harder than you might think, and collaborate in the things that you do. Share and collaborate, because that is where, through these connections, that is where you will get the most powerful results. So don't forget the dot, and do stay in touch. Thank you very much.